Hey guys, welcome back. Now let's see what the real difference between the move by move approach and the really understanding the opening approach is. I have brought to you a position that is from a game of my student. It is still considered theory, and he had this position also in one of his opening courses. Now, in theory, black should play the move b7, b5 here, and white continues with bishop b3, black continues with queen c7, and then white continues with d4. And black will move bishop d6 as an idea, castle, and white will also castle, play bishop g5, something in that, along those lines. Now let's go back, and you know this theory, and your opponent is playing bishop to d6 now. Now my question to you, what is the move here for white? You can pause the video and think for 5 minutes about it and then come back and see the solution. Now white here should absolutely play d2, d4. Why do you have to play d2, d4? Well, you see the arrows. The idea is to play bishop back to d3 and then hitting on this long diagonal towards black's king on h7, because this bishop is not really doing a lot on this diagonal. Now the problem is that if you don't really know the idea of an opening, well, the moves don't really come logical to you. So that's why I want to go back to the start of the opening and try to give you an explanation of why we came up to this position, and then you will see that d4 comes very logical. Okay, let's jump back to the start. So we play the Caro-Kann opening, and until knight f6, queen e2, I will just say this is one line of an opening, and here we want to control the center with white. The whole idea of this opening is to try to play d4, to control the center, to have a little bit more space, to keep that stupid bishop locked in, and then to play something like bishop d3, and then maybe attack on the king side and put the queen somewhere safe, castle, bring this bishop out and this rook in, right? That is our plan with white. Now with black, what black doesn't want to play b5. What black would like to do is to free those bishop on c8, right? To put it out of the pawn chain somewhere and then to play e6. Okay, so now we know this. But the problem is, now, with our strong queen on e4, this bishop doesn't have any square outside of the pawn chain, right? So that's why black starts with knight to d7. The idea being, we try to play knight f6, kick this queen out, and then get our bishop out, right? We don't want to play e6 here, because that means we give white a free hand, playing d4, bishop d6, bishop d3, right? And we also lock with black or bishop on c8. So e6 is not a move. That's why knight d7. So you can already remember this knight d7. Now white would love to play again d4, move the bishop, and then move the queen. The problem is, if we move d4 immediately, there's knight to f6, and this queen has no real good square, and this bishop will most likely get out to f5. So nope, that's not what we want. That's why somebody came up with bishop to c4. And after knight f6, we don't move our queen, but we have knight to e5. We attack f7, and we force black to play e7, e6, right? So again, we don't just memorize, oh, bishop c4, knight e5. Why do I even do this, right? We want to know why we do it, because if we play queen e2, now bishop f5 is the move, d4, e6, and black managed to do what they wanted to do. Okay, so we play knight e5. Black plays e6 in order to stop the mate. Remember, don't take this queen, don't be greedy, this is checkmate. So playing e6, and now we play queen e2. Now we sacrificed a little tempo with the bishop on c4, right? This bishop is not really amazing, but it was more important to keep this bishop on c8 locked in. And now what we would love to do is to play d4, bishop drops back to d3, we castle, and bishop g5, rook d1, and we have all the pieces on the right square. Now, that is why, again, black wants to disturb our ideas and came up with this move b5, because now this bishop, if it drops back to d3, it stops our pawn, and it stops if it drops back to b3. White at least loses a tempo because d4 no longer allows bishop c2. So we need to play c3, d4, bishop c2, right? So black won a tempo. Now, if you know all of this, after the move bishop d6, black allows white to again go back to the move d4. So we should play d4. And then we have our perfect setup again, right? As easy as that. So if you have that knowledge of why we do certain moves, well, d4 comes extremely illogical to you. We need to have the bishop coming back to d3 and first move the pawn. So we don't want a castle and give another chance at b5 again, right? We want to play d4. And so that is how you can really learn openings in a way that is different from 99% of people, and you will be able to make better moves once the opening theory is finished. That is our goal. Our basic goal of openings is that we understand the ideas and then set us up to make more and more good moves, right? And that is how you do it, not by learning move by move by move theory, but by understanding the idea behind each move in the opening, and only by playing moves that make sense to you. Okay, now in the next video, I want to talk about a different topic we touched in the theory part, which is human evaluation and engine evaluation. We will have 3 different positions where all of them are evaluated the same way by the engine, but from a human perspective, there are immense differences. See you there.